After a brutal election cycle, Trump emerged victorious, proving that 2016 wasn't a fluke, but maybe the start of a trend. His supporters cheered, his detractors despaired, and the rest of the world just shook their heads in a mixture of amusement and bewilderment. Because, let's be honest, with Trump it's always a wild ride. Buckle up, America, because it's going to be a bumpy 4 years. The question on everyone's mind is, what will Trump 2.0 look like? Will he be the same firebrand, tweeting insults and starting trade wars? Or has time mellowed him, transforming him into a seasoned statesman? Early signs point to, well, more of the same. The America First agenda is back with a vengeance, and Trump seems determined to push through his vision for America no matter the cost. Whether it's immigration, the economy, or international relations, one thing is clear. Trump is here to shake things up. Again. One of Trump's biggest campaign promises was always immigration, and true to his word, he's wasted no time in tightening the screws on America's borders. The wall is back, baby, or at least the funding for it is. Expect to see construction crews sweating under the desert sun as they strive to build this monument to Trump's ego. And it's not just the physical wall. Trump's also ramping up border security, increasing patrols, and making it even tougher for asylum seekers to find refuge in the land of the free. But it's not just about keeping people out. Trump's also targeting those who are already here. His administration is stepping up deportations, separating families, and creating a climate of fear and uncertainty for undocumented immigrants. The message is clear. America is closed for business. Unless, of course, you're a wealthy investor or a corporation looking for a tax break. Then by all means, come on in. Trump, the self-proclaimed master negotiator, is back to wheeling and dealing, this time on the world stage. He's tearing up trade agreements, slapping tariffs on allies and enemies alike, and generally throwing his weight around like a toddler in a china shop. His goal? To make America great again, of course. And how better to do that than by bringing back manufacturing jobs, even if it means starting a trade war with China? The problem is, trade wars aren't exactly known for their positive outcomes. Sure, some American businesses might benefit in the short term, but in the long run, everyone loses. Consumers face higher prices, businesses struggle to cope with supply chain disruptions, and the global economy takes a nosedive. But hey, at least Trump can boast about getting tough on China, right? Never mind the fact that his own businesses have benefited from cheap Chinese labor for decades. Details. Remember when America was considered the leader of the free world? Yeah, those were the days. Under Trump's leadership, America's global standing has taken a nosedive faster than a skydiver with a broken parachute. He's alienated allies, cozied up to dictators, and generally made America look like an unreliable and unpredictable partner on the world stage. NATO? More like no action, talk only, according to Trump. The Paris Climate Agreement? Gone, baby, gone. Trump's foreign policy, if you can even call it that, seems to be based on a simple principle. What's in it for me? If a country can't offer him something he wants, whether it's oil, military bases, or just a good old-fashioned ego boost, then they're of no use to him. This transactional approach to foreign policy has left America isolated and adrift, with few friends and even fewer allies. But hey, at least Trump's got his golf buddies in Russia, right? Section 5. Healing or hurting? Healthcare in the balance. Healthcare has been a political football in America for decades, and Trump's second term is shaping up to be no different. Despite repeated promises to repeal and replace Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act is still standing, albeit bruised and battered after years of Republican attacks. Will Trump finally succeed in dismantling his predecessor's signature achievement? Or will he be forced to admit defeat and come up with a plan of his own? Don't hold your breath waiting for that last one. Trump's healthcare plan, much like his tax returns, remains shrouded in mystery. What we do know is that millions of Americans are relying on Obamacare for their health insurance, and any attempt to repeal it without a viable replacement would be disastrous. But hey, that's never stopped Trump before. He's already chipped away at the ACA's protections for people with pre-existing conditions, and he's shown no interest in expanding access to affordable health care. In fact, his administration seems hell-bent on making healthcare even more expensive and inaccessible for ordinary Americans. Section 6. A greener America? Not so fast. If you're hoping that Trump's second term will see a renewed focus on environmental protection, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Trump's love affair with fossil fuels continues unabated, and he's shown no indication that he's willing to take climate change seriously. In fact, he's done everything in his power to roll back environmental regulations, open up protected lands to drilling, and undermine international efforts to combat climate change. The Paris Agreement, see you later. The Clean Power Plan, gone baby, gone. Trump's environmental legacy is shaping up to be one of deregulation, denial, and disaster. He's putting the interests of big oil and gas ahead of the health and well-being of the planet, and future generations will be left to deal with the consequences. But hey, at least we'll have plenty of coal to burn, right? Section 7 Culture Wars, the sequel. Hold on to your hats, folks, because the culture wars are back with a vengeance. Trump's return to office has emboldened the far right, and they're coming for everything from abortion rights to LGBTQ plus equality. Get ready for endless debates about guns, God, and the American way of life. Trump's already appointed 2 conservative justices to the Supreme Court, shifting the balance of power for a generation. Roe v. Wade is hanging by a thread, and LGBTQ plus Americans are bracing themselves for a wave of discriminatory legislation. Trump's rhetoric has also fueled a rise in hate crimes and white supremacy. It's a scary time to be a minority in America, and things are only going to get worse under Trump's leadership, but hey, at least he's owning the libs, right? Because apparently that's all that matters these days. Section 8. A House-divided GOP fault lines. You'd think that with Trump back in the White House, the Republican Party would be united behind their leader. But you'd be wrong. The GOP is more divided than ever, with deep fissures emerging between the establishment wing and the Trump loyalists. The infighting is particularly intense when it comes to the budget. Trump wants to slash taxes for corporations and the wealthy, while also increasing spending on the military. This combination of policies is a recipe for economic disaster, and even some Republicans are balking at the price tag. The GOP is caught between a rock and a hard place. They know that Trump's policies are deeply unpopular with the American public, but they're also terrified of crossing him and facing his wrath. This internal conflict is paralyzing the Republican Party, making it difficult for them to govern effectively. And with the 2026 midterms looming, it's unclear whether the GOP can hold on to their majority in Congress. Section 9, what's next? The unknowable future. So, there you have it. Trump's America is back, and it's just as chaotic and unpredictable as ever. What does the future hold? Your guess is as good as mine. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride. Will Trump be able to push through his radical agenda? Will the Democrats be able to mount an effective opposition? Will America survive another 4 years of Trump? Only time will tell. In the meantime, all we can do is hold on tight and hope for the best. Because with Trump at the helm, anything is possible, and that's a terrifying thought.